Lagena, Rick Blankenship, Dave Charles Barkhouse, and Doug Crail are exploring the Money Pit area with Choice Drilling Team. They are excited about the possibility of finding a debris field, with the team being convinced that it is a tunnel leading from Shaft 6. In 1861, a team of treasure hunters dug a second shaft 18 feet west of the original money pit to avoid booby traps. However, at a depth of 118 feet and just 1 foot shy of their target, the tunnel known as Shaft 6 suddenly filled with seawater. 3 weeks ago, the Oak Island team made a discovery at a depth of 109 feet, suggesting they had located Shaft 6. If the team can verify that the wood they found came from Shaft 6, they may be closer than ever to locating the original money pit and an underground debris field filled with incredible artifacts and treasure. Using a specialized sonic drilling rig, the team will extract core samples at intervals of 10 feet and collect spoils into plastic sleeves to be carefully searched for any important clues or valuable objects. The team is eager to take advantage of this discovery and has 3 data sets that show there is, in fact, a tunnel there. This means they must return and examine the geotech surrounding where the money pit would sit, which supports additional research at the wash table nearby. The team believes that the westernmost edge of Shaft 6 has provided a much-needed breakthrough, indicating that by continuing to drill east of the site, they will be able to follow the tunnel to the money pit's precise location, approximately 18 feet away. Surveyor Steve Guptill and treasure hunter Michael John are sorting through the loot from a borehole called E5.25. They are also looking at a small cannonball or grape shot that dates back to the 15th century and was used as artillery in both land-based and naval warfare. A researcher at the Oak Island Research Center named Michael John is looking into the finding of artillery attached to a weapon that sinks battleships in the open seas. The group is working on a borehole that may be related to the weapon and is close to or crosses the original money pit. As they examine the discovery, Marty Lagena and Dr. Aaron Taylor, an archaeologist, propose grape shot as a potential weapon. Lagena and Dr. Taylor are also talking about the finding of an old dress stone, also known as a gunstone, that they think was a projectile fired from a blunderb on an old ship. Prior to the 17th century, blunderbees were single-shot weapons that used iron muskballs, gunstones, and other projectiles. They had a short, large-caliber barrel and a flared muzzle. The finding might support James McQuiston's hypothesis on the possible culprit behind the Oak Island mystery. The group is overseeing the core drilling process for the most recent borehole in the C1 cluster, which is called CD4. 5. Terry. The core drilling operation of the team's most...
They eventually uncovered a small copper and bronze ring. They persevered, confident that they were on the correct track, and uncovered a coin that could be hundreds of years old. Samuel Ball, one of the wealthiest residents of Oak Island, owned 36 acres of the island. Did cabbage cultivation contribute to this wealth? Or maybe Ball discovered a treasure? These discoveries could represent a minor portion of the Oak Island treasure ball. Gary Drayton, a metal detecting specialist, and Charles Barkhouse, an Oak Island historian, continue their investigation of Samuel Ball's property in Season 4, Episode 8, The Mystery of Samuel Ball, where they make a number of intriguing discoveries. The first item that Drayton and Barkhouse discover is a gentleman button, which is commonly found on 1700s clothing. They soon unearth numerous King George II coins from the 18th century, as well as a lead ingot used to create musket balls. Drayton hypothesizes that these artifacts are the remnants of a military camp, after uncovering what appears to be an engraved metal tag from the bottom of a handgun. Were these campers from the 18th century searching for forgotten wealth or abandoning it? In the 1700s, the only thing that can be said with absolute certainty is that Oak Island was extremely active. In Blood is Thicker, Episode 15 of Season 4 of The Curse of Oak Island, Gary employs a metal detector to examine the objects Rick and Marty Lagena had unearthed at the Gal 1 excavation site. They initially assume it to be a coin, but quickly realize that the word plated is engraved on it. Dr. Laurie Vanderland, an expert in antique valuation, examined this spherical object and concluded that it was most likely a gold-plated button from a 17th or 18th century British military uniform. When the Lagena brothers discover a large metal hinge with drill marks in the same location, this becomes considerably more plausible. Dr. Vanderland examined it and concluded that it was from the same time period. Even more intriguing is the fact that it was frequently used as a hinge on treasure chests. Even if it originated from a ship that used the hinge for a different purpose, it is still a very intriguing discovery because it raises the question of what lies beneath Oak Island. In Dead Man's Chest, the second episode of the 5th season, Gary Drayton and his metal detecting team once again discover evidence of 17th century participation on the island, which may have been caused by the military, pirates, or both. Soon after discovering a 17th century musket projectile which was used in cannons, they find what appears to be a Maravedi, which is identical to the one found in the Season 1 finale, The Find. This coin is unique because it has been cut into tiny pieces. Oak Island entered a new era when the dust subsided and the significance of the discovery became apparent. The long-held legend had finally come true.
This finding alarmed everyone, suggesting a worse history than expected. They searched for 18th century hints to a famous treasure. On top of their physical hunt, they looked for evidence of the treasure that had captivated so many for so long. The crew, led by Dumas contracting limited expertise, searched the passages and concealed areas for riches. One of the island's well-known flood tunnels may have been struck when water unexpectedly entered the shaft through holes excavated around 97 feet. For 2 centuries, treasure seekers battled this problem by pumping out the water and investigating farther down the garden shaft. With perseverance, Rick and his associates found enormous, oddly shaped wooden beams that proved the passage's existence and historical significance. Gary, an experienced digster, brought his metal detector to the site to find items that might reveal the area's history. After his efforts, his detector beeped on a metal piece, indicating it was ancient. As they dug, the crew placed markers along the channel to chart the subterranean pre-machine. Ad-shaped wood was one of the day's most fascinating finds. The passage's construction may have supported the round-to-thin beams. After discovering this treasure, Rick and his group felt more connected to the island's stories. Wetland Oak Island has a lengthy and distinguished past, and Rick, Billy Gart, and Gary Drayton are currently researching it. Their curiosity about history and the thrill of the hunt are what motivate them to find more than hidden treasures. They find parts of ships from the 15th and 18th centuries, as well as an 8th century railing, which suggests that the marsh may have a longer history than previously thought, possibly involving Viking explorers from the Middle Ages to the present. Next, they discover a large wooden structure that appears to be a wall or dam, which reminds them of what Fred Nolan, a former treasure seeker on Oak Island, thought was a dam that was used to conceal something valuable. The team wants to know if the ancient ship railing they found earlier has anything to do with this latest discovery. As the pieces come together, the geoscientist Dr. Ian Spooner is investigating the ancientness of the timber structure and its connection to a 500-year-old stone road, which suggests that the land was inhabited long ago. They find that the swamp has more mysteries and deeper depths than anything they have investigated thus far. Additionally, there is another area of interest on the northern side of the marsh, which Marty Lagena and Dr. Ian Spooner are investigating with their staff. Dr. Spooner discovers a stick that is positioned between the rock and the ground below it, which provides evidence that the boulder was moved to control the flow of water in the swamp. The team is intrigued by this discovery, which raises questions about what is beneath the surface as part of their mission to uncover further Oak Island history. Nolan's Cross is one of the most unusual collections of stones on the island, and it appears to be linked to a large stone. A researcher named John Edwards suggests that there is a possibility that something valuable was hidden at Nolan's Cross and that it is related to the Knights Templar. Dr. Spooner's claim that humans have ways to pump it out and stabilize the area without risking everything they had worked so hard for. Despite the tense situation, the Liga brothers continue pushing forward, believing that the treasure itself isn't the end-all. They have never been one to walk away from a challenge, and they have never been ones to walk away from a challenge. Furthermore, the shifting landscape of Oak Island over the years has caused new challenges that even modern tools can't always predict. For example, the team discovered an underground void and an open cavern slowly collapsing as they dug deeper. Without adjusting their strategy, the whole operation could have been in jeopardy. The Curse of Oak Island is a thrilling mystery thriller series that follows the team as they work under extreme pressure to uncover a massive discovery. The excavation of the money pit is a dangerous journey, filled with uncertainty and unpredictability. As they dig deeper, the island pushes back, making it a race against time, nature, the island itself, and the Lega brothers. The team faces every twist and setback, never backing down from the mystery that has haunted Oak Island for centuries. As they face more obstacles in the money pit, they begin to uncover pieces of the island's deeper history. Each discovery opens up new questions about who had been there before leaving behind remnants of a long-forgotten past. In Season 12, Episode 11, Best Case in Scenario, Rick and his team discover ancient artifacts hidden within a mysterious structure. These artifacts hint at something much bigger, suggesting that what they are dealing with could be a vault holding the secrets of a past buried for centuries. Some believe that the artifacts found in the swamp could point to something far more sinister, such as human sacrifice or ritual death. The idea that these finds could be linked to something darker than treasure is intriguing. Every new discovery on Oak Island seems to add fuel to the fire, from strange stone carvings to bizarre flood tunnels and Spanish coins. The swamp has been one of the most puzzling areas on the island for years, and the search for answers is starting to take a serious psychological toll on Rick and his team. The constant failures and questions about how long they can keep pushing forward before the hunt breaks them take a serious psychological toll on Rick and his team. The psychological toll of the hunt is evident in the emotional roller coaster that comes with chasing down the island's mysteries. As the mystery deepens, the team must continue pushing forward to find answers and face the truth about what is truly buried on Oak Island. The story of Rick and the team on the show, Oak Island, revolves around the constant struggle to uncover the island's secrets. Rick has been obsessed with the idea of finding something huge, but the constant search for it has taken a toll on him.
Excavating the northeastern part of the quadrilateral. They are trying to find out who created it and why in the hopes of discovering these things. Treasure hunter Gary Drayton will examine the finds for important hints and indicators of the location of the treasure as metal detectorist Billy Gerhardt excavates the feature. This finding might offer the team yet another nugget of knowledge on the period of time during which this feature was created. They dug deeper and tried to raise something, but it was a big curved piece of iron, and it was incredibly difficult. An 18th century glass was discovered in a rectangle that was dug up deep during the excavation. Due to the way it was coiled, its size and its weight, they claimed that when the piece of iron arrived there, it reminded them of a chunk of a cannonball. This was brought on by both the size and weight of the particle. One of the crew members disclosed that he had been successful in finding a sizable number of them in the southeast region of the country. It may or may not be true, in Rick Lagena's opinion, that this finding could offer a significant hint as to who created the so-called Great Quadrilateral. But it's likely that Rick Lagena is right to make his assessment. In that situation, it becomes much more intriguing to think about the topic of what exactly its aim was. This would be a great site to find any wealth that may have been taken to Oak Island and buried there in the past. They all reached the same conclusion after something was pulled up, and then something else was reburied in the same spot. This is definitely unique. They hope to find additional artifacts and come to their own conclusions about what they may mean, since they thought there might be other boulders, and they also thought there might be. The team is currently working on the southern half of the feature, after just finishing the northern portion, where they found several items that may be of great interest. The mystery further intensified and grew more perplexing as they descended beneath the stone layer. The metal detecting expert Gary Drayton and the Oak Island historian Charles Barkhouse continue to snoop around on Samuel Ball's property in the 8th episode of the 4th season, The Mystery of Samuel Ball, and turn up a number of intriguing artifacts. This ongoing inquiry is known as The Mystery of Samuel Ball. Drayton and Barkhouse find a dandy button, a sort of button that was often worn on garments in the 1700s, near the start of the tale. They rapidly uncover several coins from the 1700s with King George II's image, as well as a lead ingot used to make musket balls. Drayton had the idea that all of these artifacts might be the remains of a military encampment after discovering what looks to be a metal tag from the bottom of a revolver with a name etched on it, which some online academics think may have been Samuel Ball's own name. Drayton's discovery of another object leads to the development of this theory. These campers from the 18th century either left their own treasure behind or were searching for hidden wealth. The only thing concerning Oak Island in the 1700s about which there is complete certainty is that there was a great deal of activity going on there. In the 4th episode of Season 7's The Lucky 13, Gary Drayton and Charles Barkhouse revisit Lot 21 to see if they can uncover any new information. In reality, they are successful in finding a pair. The first thing they find is an 1800s British halfpenny coin. The next thing they find is a brooch with a detailed design of a rope and a leaf on it. Marty Lagena will take some time to count the number of branches on the leaf after he has finished polishing the brooch. There are a total of 13 of them. This is a reference to the crew finding the Appeal to Heaven flag in the Lost and Founding episode from the previous season of Lost and Founding. The flag was flown from George Washington's own ships. The picture showed a pine tree with 13 different branches. A carving of a tree with 13 branches has been carved into a rock on Oak Island's northern side. Additionally, the number 13 is believed to have some form of significance, and the Knights Templar, an organization that is already closely associated with many of the artifacts found on Oak Island.
ROC itself, the decision to take a step back did not indicate disengagement, but rather represented a calculated move to remain influential. ROC did not experience a downturn as a result of her retreat from the direct limelight. Rather, the machinery continued to play an important role in key projects and developments in the area. The operational stability of ROC was maintained even while the machinery continued to buzz on site, which resulted in the reinforcement of the reputation that Lucido had painstakingly constructed. She maintained a legacy of performance and integrity with regard to the machinery and business processes that had been created by her predecessors, and she was responsible for fostering a culture of creativity and accountability that continued to exist even after she had left the company. Discussions of ROC after Lucido grew interwoven with impressions of Robinson's leadership style, which was described as stable and dependable, but lacked the spark that was associated with her direct involvement. As a result, some individuals criticized the gentleness of his approach in comparison to her dynamic energy. As rumors continued to circulate regarding Lucido's departure, the changes that were taking place within ROC mirrored broader industry developments in which visibility and market positioning were just as important as the technical specs of the technology that was being utilized. This dynamic brought to light the continual balancing act that exists between performance and perception, driving home the fact that successful operations required complex tactics that went beyond surface-level engagement with machinery and extended deeper into financial and corporate management. Lucido's influence was still there in the apparatus and procedures that ROC enforced, demonstrating her skill in modifying conventional drilling techniques while simultaneously incorporating broader narratives of treasure hunting into the operational framework of ROC. Her dual identity as a crucial industrial leader and a central player in the Oak Island drama was supported by this combination of engineering precision and spectacle, which highlighted her dual personality. Her studies in particular discovered insights about the fundamental economics that drive the narrative of treasure hunting. She emphasized that financial transactions that were